Our next speaker, who you will enjoy immensely, is Efrain Fuentes, and he has been with us in the LLI program since the very beginning. He gave us some enormously useful words of wisdom at the outset as to how to design the program, so you are all the beneficiaries of his wonderful wisdom and advice. He is someone who has had an amazing personal journey that he will tell you about that took him from modest beginnings to the upper ranks of one of America's iconic companies, the Walt Disney Company. I'll tell you about that. So he is a wonderfully successful professional, but he is an even better human being, as you will see. Efrain, thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you.
What an intro. What a treat to be back. Year number 2, and you all look just as exciting and just as uplifting and just as sort of upbeat as the first group. And I'm wondering whether it's just going to continue to get better.
Yes.
Good. So, go Lions, go Terriers. Graduate will be you, but anyway, we'll get to that. Emotional intelligence and critical thinking. There were some readings. I don't know whether you had a chance to review those. This will basically complement those readings. I won't go into a lot of the readings because you can do that on your own. But this is a complement to those readings, and it's also, as Andy mentioned, a little bit of sort of personal. I think that in my years of teaching, there's always a personal component in everything that we do. And personal for me translates to passion. And passion for me is part of that sort of success that we all need to balance in terms of, what we do, what is rewarding, what is satisfying. Anyway, let's get started. Again, I'm the director of Multicultural Program for the Walt Disney Company. It's not something that I sort of thought, yes, I want to be the director of Multicultural Program for the Walt Disney Company when I was at UC Irvine. It didn't necessarily happen that way. What I want today is to have a near-life experience. Not a near-death experience when you're being asked to come up here to do an elevator speech. That's you need to have that intention. But anyway, I want to make it, we want to be in your life experience. And it's going to be a demonstration and application of emotional intelligence and critical thinking, a biographical sketch. He's subtle mouse here. It's called branding. I want to invite you to ask questions. It's okay to interrupt me. You don't need to say, oh, you have a random thought or a thought as I'm talking. Hey, explore. We'll explore some of the data, some of the information, some of the discussion that we'll be having. And I will try as much as possible to explain. Or certainly we can go back and forth to explain what you're listening to, what you're hearing, etc. And ultimately, think about it, TEA, thought, emotion, and action. Take action. You have the insight, you have the knowledge, you have the information, TK. If you don't have the judgment to do something about it, it just sits there. You've been taking in a lot of information, a lot of data. What do you do with it? How do you now have the judgment to do something with that information? Whether it's a personal sort of challenge for you to maybe make some changes in yourself, etc. You've got the knowledge now, take action. Emotional intelligence, very quickly, it's perceiving emotions, reasoning with those emotions, understanding the emotions, and then managing the emotions. Now, again, people have been drawing a lot of parallel between intelligence and emotional intelligence, IQ versus EI or EQ, etc. Some of the greatest leaders, some of the greatest individuals, if they don't have that emotional sort of piece aligned with a lot of the other sort of knowledge, information, etc., it's all for naught. So keep in mind the balance that we're trying to strike. my own professional academic development started out at Cypress College. Anyone here from Southern California area? Anyone know Cypress College? Probably not. You do? Yeah. And again, I had a sort of an option to continue at the supermarket where I was working almost full time, or maybe consider Cypress College. And you know those challenges, those conversations. What are you going to go to school for? You're doing so well at your job. You know, you've got a union, they're paying you well, your boss treats you well. Well, anyway, those are the sort of struggles and challenges that I was first sort of faced with. And then after 2 years, AA at Cypress College, I decided to go to UC Irvine over in Southern California as well. Anti-use. Go anti-use. Go figure. Anyway, and then a very sort of interesting thing happened after I finished up my BA. A friend of mine says, "Hey, how about we go to Boston?" Boston? And I was 22, 23 years old. I finished up the and then I said, "What can you do in Boston?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Sure, why not?" So I sold my car, got a one-week ticket to Boston, and it's just one of those things where you're just sort of thinking, well, maybe I should. Maybe, what am I doing? What am I doing in life? What do I want? I knew that I felt very gratified and very satisfied with what I was doing at Irvine. But then I said, hey, why not? So the trip, I made the trip, and made the trip, and I had no idea what I was doing. Coming from Southern California, I'd never been in snow, never been in anything below 50 degrees, and people talk different. How are ya? A different culture, different people, and it was rewarding. It was, wow, this is exciting. And then my parents, Nico, ¿qué andas haciendo allá? So, you know, just, what are you doing? Oh, just, you know, going to school with Al, my buddy. ¿Y cómo le va? Yeah, good, yeah. You know, and you know, your parents are always wondering. They're texting me, they're calling me, wait, pero ¿qué estás haciendo? You know, why estás en la escuela? You know, after 5, 8 years, you're still in school. So again, you've got to sort of educate and inform your parents, your relatives, the people that love you, because they're going to grow along with you. And then after I got my master's, I took off for 1 year, a gap year, as I sort of described it. And then I said, why not go for my doctorate? And I pursued it, and I got my doctorate from the other school, as Zuckerberg would say, across the river. And in total, I was 21 years in Boston. I was just going to come out here for a little spell, but then one thing sort of leads to another. You follow your bliss, you follow your passion, and now striking a balance. During that time that I was studying, and you know, just sort of gaining on knowledge, information, I was also always working. And that informed me. For you, if you're balancing your life with academia and knowledge, and it's always important to also work, to inform you in a very different way. When I was in college, I continued to work in the market as a produce clerk and then as a factory worker. Then afterwards, from Irvine, I continued to work in the market, continued to sort of be in touch, as I consider it now, with day-to-day, get a pulse on what, you know, sometimes academia is very protective. And once you get in that sort of circle, you sort of lose yourself. And I think it's important to always strike a balance. Because, okay, we're gaining some knowledge, we're enriching ourselves, but then there's another life, there's another world. I think that we don't always strike that balance. Community organizer. I know when Barack Obama was running for president, people were on him, community organizer. How weird is that? But those skills, and I'm sure you say, well, now, have informed him and his political sort of agenda. because he's not lost touch with a lot of these sort of, you have Wall Street, then you have Main Street. And I think it's important to keep that balance. And also, I began to work as a student counselor when I was at Program. I heard you earlier with in your speeches talking about youth. And it's important to always sort of give back in that way to your community, to the future, if you will, because we've certainly been given a lot of opportunities. Then at BU, when I arrived in Boston, I was a junior high school teacher. One of the most challenging, one of the most difficult jobs I have ever had in my life. I was trying to teach junior high kids. Oh my God. I grew up in East LA, Compton, Watts, and I thought I knew everything. I was a homie, I could relate, etc. It didn't work. It does not work. When you try to sort of be at the same level with a lot of the kids that you may be teaching, it doesn't work. That's been my experience. You have to have, in some ways, a differentiation, because we're talking in some cases major pathology with a lot of the kids in our school system, management issues, life issues, etc. And sometimes you have to, you want to be friends, but it doesn't always work. So if you're thinking of maybe working with you, junior high especially, it's difficult because they may see you as a peer, but then that has its trappings as well. So always sort of, again, getting back to the emotional intelligence, understand who you are, understand what you're doing, and why you are deciding to go in a particular route. I decided that I could do more counseling than teaching. When I was teaching, the kids were not paying attention, they were off the wall, they were unable to focus, and most of my time with the kids were just one-on-one. Oye, Jose, ¿qué te pasa? The kids would come in, they would tell me there was some distress. And I was realizing that I could connect with them in a sort of one-to-one better than as a teacher, because for a lot of reasons. I think that my own sort of inability to be forceful or domineering, sometimes it was my liability, because kids were accustomed to someone setting down the hammer. Management issues in a classroom was very difficult. It got to a point where I remember this one time. It was Altagracia Abreu. She said, Mister, usted tiene que gritar. She said, Mister, you have to scream. Estos son animales. And she was talking about her classmates. And she said, these are animals. I said, por favor, no, estos son animales. For her, she knew the cultural social norms of how kids, but they were accustomed to some people screaming at them, and I couldn't do it. And she said, no va a tener éxito si no le grita. Altagracia, no puedo. So again, there was a real sort of difference in terms of my style, what I thought was important to educate, to inform, etc., to have a sort of open classroom decisions, etc. The kids couldn't get them because they were so sort of accustomed in a certain way of being taught. The system where you have rigidity, where you have structure, where you have you have a hard hand leading and directing. So anyway, it was a real eye-opener for me. Then I started getting into mental health counseling. That was when I began to say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to get on into the field of mental health psychology, and I'm being a lot more successful. Again, it's understanding who you are. What is rewarding for you? What is satisfying for you? And on the other hand, what doesn't work for you? When you, I always use this analogy. When the alarm clock goes off, and you're there, and it goes off, and you say, oh shit. It's a clear sign that maybe your day is not starting in the way that you would like. So keep that in mind in terms of your own professional development, your own professional career, etc. When you start that morning, are you invigorated? Are you pumped? Are you excited? Post University, I was a program director for the Department of Mental Health here in Massachusetts, psychologist, family therapist, and college professor both at BU and then at the Mass School of Professional Psychology. And I began to really feel gratified and rewarded by where I was going to school. But it took time to really understand who I was. And as you will be doing the same. Hospital manager, director, human resources director. And the other piece that's important to you is your own personal identity development. Alondra Vega. Who's Alondra? What influenced me? Born in Los Angeles, my birth certificate says white. In East LA, back in the 50s, they did not have the Latino, Hispanic, black, it was just white or black. So on my birth certificate, it reads white. Okay? And then, when I got home, guess what? I was Mexican again. Your mom's Mexican, your dad's Mexican, so you must be Mexican. No? So again, that identity of the society and then the home is something that we struggle with, that we sometimes feel challenged by. Then you get to junior high, and then you've got all kinds of other identities that people tag on to you. You're a beaner, you're a stick, you're a Mexican, taco vendor, etc. You know, it happens, and it begins to form you. It begins to sort of inform you as well. You know, what is this taunting? What is this sort of back and forth? What's going on here? And then, during the sort of 60s, 70s, the Mexican-American movement was gaining momentum. And there was a group, it was called UMAS. Does anyone remember? I mean, you remember. Were you in UMAS or MedJap?
Both.
Okay. We all started out in UMAS. It was United Mexican-American Students. And then, really organizing. And then there was a radical shift to the word Chicano. And then again, it satisfied the phenomenon of being a US-born individual, but still having roots and connections to Mexico. And Chicano was very much a sort of, we embraced it with such energy and such passion, in some way just compensating for the fact that we weren't recognized in many other ways. And then after the 70s, 80s, I sort of began to be more Hispanic, more Latino. Does anybody use the word Chicano? Rarely. Hardly. Not as much as it was before. Everybody was Chicano. Now it's interesting how the word has evolved. I was in the Pico Union area of Los Angeles, and Salvadorans are using the word Chicano to describe a hybrid, a little bit like the individuals, the fusion of culture, the fusion of identities. And now it's Efrain or just Dr. F. So identity, it's important. Say, okay, what do I feel? Who am I? Do I sort of connect to my nationalism, to my parents, etc.? Is that omnipresent? Is it fluid? Leadership identity development. Is there a continuum? I don't know. Is there a Latino leadership continuum? You're the second group. Maybe you should create one. Are you a Latino leader?
Yes.
Or just a leader? Or both? Okay. Try explaining that to the part. Why aren't you American? Why do you have to be a Latino leader? Aren't you born in the U.S.? These are going to be some of the challenges. These are going to be some of the issues. They may not be in your face. But when they ask you, Patricia, where are you from? Exactly. Efrain, where are you from? Oh, from LA. I'm sorry. Where you been from? Where am I really from? LA? I was born in LA. Oh no, that's not what I meant. What do people want to know? You know, where are you really from? Now, it could be expressed, it could be asked in a way that is not demeaning or not making you feel like you're not part of the U.S. Now, Latino leader. Does that sort of separate you? Does it include you? Do you want to be a Latino leader? Do you want to be a Latina leader? Is there a difference? I don't know. Do you want to make an important statement that Latinas, for the most part, in our Latino community, haven't been given a fair shake? Latino American leader or Colombian American leader? Salvador Mexican Colombian American leader? Do you feel an allegiance to your country? What sort of allegiance is that? And does that present a liability for you going forward? I just got back from the Inaleo conference in San Antonio. And Mayor Julian Castro. Anyone met Julian? I know Texas is in the house.
Okay.
Julian is considered a real sort of astro. He is a stellar, sort of a contender, if you will, for maybe the first Latino president. And I noticed one thing that was very clear from Julian this time around that I hadn't seen 5-8 years ago. Mentions America a lot more. What's good for Latinos is good for Americans. Why is that, folks? We're one and the same. And is there a political message there? What's it that?
I think we're more inclusive. There's really always been marginalized. When we move forward, we try to put others so they don't feel the same way.
To some degree, we'll open you up for criticism. When Barack Obama didn't have an American flag in his lapel, it became an issue. Now, is this an extremist issue? Maybe. Is it sort of going to be happening a lot? Possibly. Now, you in your own development, leadership identity development, you have to say, okay, Latino leader, maybe U.S. leader. Again, these are the things, these are the conundrums, the challenges that you face. What informs leadership identity development? Your ethnicity. Does it inform it? Or is it just neutral? Absolutely not. It will inform it, or someone will inform it for you. Your race, that is also a factor in terms of your identity development. Your IQ, your emotional intelligence, does that inform your leadership? Your birthplace. Does it matter that you were born in Racine, Wisconsin versus East LA? Maybe, possibly. And context situation. When I asked Patricia where she was from, and depending on the context, you may have a fluid identity because you begin to figure out, what is this person asking? What do they want to know? They don't want to know necessarily my ethnicity or where I'm from where I hail, but more or less my background. And that's the bigger question. And sometimes it's very fluid. Now we have to ask ourselves, why don't we accept a fluid identity or a contextual identity when we are asked or when we are presenting, when we're in a leadership role? We may be all of the above. And that for me has worked. Yes?
Would family fall under any support?
Absolutely. You bet. What were you thinking about?
Well, I mean, all of these factors, I would think family-wise, we family struggle, and we want to get back to it because there are parents that don't find. So we want to get back. How can we break by shoulders that can't be done?
Yeah.
How can we by actions in other words? So that's why I was trying to say that.
Yeah. No question. Again, you also have that sort of individualism versus family context. Sometimes in the U.S., it's always sort of, sort of pursuit of the individual. In many other cultures, it's not the case. You don't always think about the individual. When Latinos go to the theater, they don't go by themselves for the most part. Again, these are stereotypes. They're toda la familia. I mean, that's why Disney loves to have the Hispanic market. Cars too. I mean, they were just driving the market because everybody goes. Even when you're doing a small errand, everybody jumps in the car. Everybody wants to go for a ride. Again, a stereotype. Of course it is. But there are factors in that. I was working for Children's Hospital Los Angeles for many years. One of the challenges was when a Latino child that had the extended family would take ill. Guess how many family members were at the hospital within minutes? 40 to 50. And the response of the hospital was what? Oh my God, what am I going to do with all these people? You know, call security. I said, "Lord, Father, Lord, what do you mean call security? Think about the healing power. When you've got 30, 40 people, they're rooting for you. They're going to support you. They're thinking about you. You know, they're all praying for you." Now, the reaction was security for a lot of reasons. It was sort of a germs and, hygiene and just the number of people. We didn't have the waiting rooms. And it goes to show that the institutions oftentimes are not designed for that extended family. We want to have 2 visitors per day. And then the raza comes in with comida. Because you know the food in the hospital, and you want some comfort food. You know, people will come in with their own tacos. My son, our son, Alejandro, was born here in Cambridge, right down the street in Mount Auburn. And they were our first child, and then, my mom wanted to come out, and my uncles, and everyone. So we had a group of people that came out around September 1992, before Whitey Bulger headed out to Southern California. And anyway, and my mom, she was very happy. So anyway, we got to get to Mount Auburn, and she said, "I'll have George take me there later." So I went to the hospital with Claudia, and then I stepped out, and she was in the waiting room, repartiendo tacos. She had a bag of tortillas that she had brought from California with chorizo. And she was in the waiting room. "Oh, you want tortillas?" And one of the women that was next, "Yeah, sure, I'll have a taco." I mean, that's the sort of family, the extended family, that wants to be there with food and healing, etc. And again, does that inform you? In what way does that inform you? Maslow's hierarchy of needs and building emotional strength. You start off with food and shelter. Very basic. A lot of our communities are at that very basic level. You look at around you, people are just trying to get food on the table, bread on the table. It's followed with safety. You look at some of our communities, safety is an issue. It was a little bit unsettling for me a few months back when I saw a report on the people of Watts that were organizing a safe community. I grew up in Watts, and it was disappointing for me after so many years that you continue to have some of these ongoing issues in some of our communities. They're not getting resolved. We're not making headway with basic issues. Love, belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. When you get to that sort of top of that pyramid, and you have to say, okay, where am I? Where do I fit in Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Am I building my emotional strength to sort of get to that self-actualization? Or do I sometimes go back and forth with that food and shelter? Do I get sort of thrown down to the bottom of the pyramid periodically? Critical thinking questions. Okay. This is an example of some of the critical thinking questions that you may consider. What are we doing now? We're in the classroom. We're at the LLI. Okay. How did it come to be this way? How did Melissa Hernandez make it to the LLI? Chance? It just sort of happened. I have connections with Darío Collado. Whose interests are or are not being served by the way things are? In your time here, whose interests are being served? Harvard, Efrain Fuentes. CP question continued. What information and knowledge do we have or need to get that bear on the issues, the questions that you've asked? Is this the way we want things to be? Your engagement, your participation, do you want it to continue? Is this the way you want it? What are we going to do about the way things are? Critical thinking. It's deliberate, intentional, not random, and it asks questions about certain beliefs and certain the assumptions. And the other thing is, for the longest time, we've been talking about teenage development, latency, childhood, the milestones, etc. We hadn't been working until recently on adult stages of development. Now, you don't stop at adulthood, but you continue to develop, you continue to grow. And it's important for you in that sort of critical thinking, emotional intelligence piece, where am I? What are these sort of behaviors that I exhibit in public, in personal relationships, that put me at one level or the other? Adult life. You have the tryout 20s. Most of you are in those tryout 20s. You're exploring. You're sort of maybe taking a few risks that you hadn't done when you were younger. It followed by the turbulent 30s. That's when things just begin to just sort of get a little bit more edgy, a little bit more turbulent. Flourishing 40s, now you're hitting your stride. Now you're really ramping up the sort of that moment in your life when you're just sort of blossoming, you're growing, etc. You're bringing it all together. The flaming 50s, but not flaming in terms of just sort of getting on fire and just burning out. And then, of course, the serene 60s. When you begin to just be a little bit calmer, a little bit slower, a little bit more thoughtful about what you do. So again, these are the adult stages of life that you need to think about, okay, where do I fit? When you hit that 20, when you hit that 30, how does it feel? Am I satisfied with what I see? Life skills, no substitute for planning and organizing. No matter what you do, you have to plan and organize. You can be smart as anyone. If you don't have that planning and organizing, it will be for naught. Basic stuff, folks. And you can't imagine how many people don't. Again, the emotional intelligence. Don't follow the basics. Effective communications. The class that you had before, you've got to be quick. You've got to be able to express yourself in a way that's effective. And certainly, you may not be able, you have to be quick on your feet. Working hard. Many of our parents work hard. Now, they have been great role models for us because it is about working hard. It is about getting up every morning. And, you know, maybe our parents don't have the formal education. But guess what? They work hard. They're up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. They're on time. They're responsible. And those are the attributes, those are the elements that are going to put you in a good way as well. I've not always been Disney executive. Not always have people been wanting to hear what I have to say. It's not always been the case. But you have to sort of grow up to that, move up to that, develop into that. Follow your bliss, follow your passion, but always have a plan B. It's nice to do things that are enjoyable and rewarding, etc., but they are not going to put bread on the table. I work in the entertainment area, and I cannot tell you how many young folks have dreams of being actors. And guess what? Talented individuals. They can sing, they can dance, they can do a number of things. And they're following their bliss, they're following their passion, but guess what? They run up against the wall because it is so competitive. So think about that. In your pursuit of a job, career, etc. I mean, it's going to be, you're going to look for reward, you're going to look for bliss and passion, but that may not hit immediately. It may take a while before you get that in your life. Next steps. Critical and creative thinking, application to practice. Okay, now we're going to move into another area. Creative thinking. Generative, non-judgmental, and expansive. If you were thinking creative, you were generating this new ideas. Critical thinking is analytical, judgmental, and selective. When you're thinking critically, you are making choices. What I'd like you to do now, Ana, Rodriguez, Jana. Oh.
I'm sorry.
There's a quote. You say you see. Very well. There's a quote in your name. I'd like you to read it and then connect it back to your experience here. Okay, read it aloud. Anna.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Anna or Jen?
Jenna.
Okay. I'd like you to read it aloud. Read it aloud. Read it aloud and then connect it back to your experience with the LLI.
Okay. Consistency has never been idle, but for me, instinctively, but always meaningful. Well, it's kind of difficult to, because I'm thinking about all the things that are meaningful in my life, so it's kind of difficult to pick and choose one and what I don't think is good. But I had shared with a couple of people here that we always dream about having the school of our dreams wherever we want. And my dream was to get into UC Berkeley. And the first time that I tried it, I didn't get in, right? But there was one person that actually, after hearing out from my advisors at high school that I could not get in, I went to the community college to enroll, and for some reason, I remember this person that he was from Afghanistan, and it was the first time for me going to the community college, and he didn't have to be there, and he didn't have to help me, and he didn't have to enroll me and guide me and take me to the right person. That later on, that person assured me to get into the university and later on helped me to do other projects independently. So so it was pure coincidence that we run into each other, but it was really meaningful, and he had always, I will always remember it, and he had a huge impact in my life. Thank you.
Microphone. Micrófono.
Por favor. If you could read it out, please.
Hello. Every step is a controlled fall.
Every step is a controlled fall. Okay, Noé. Related back to the LLI.
I have to think back to everything that happened that kind of brought me here. And I think it started with Belize's dream, which is every Belizean's dream is to come to the United States.
Uh-huh.
And so I had to make that decision like 4 years ago. And that was my first step. And like, I think the most difficult thing for me was applying for a student visa to come to the United States. Because the day when I went in for my interview, I went in with 31 other people. And like everybody, I was the last one. And everybody else was going in before me. And the interviewer was very critical. And he asked like so many difficult questions I can remember. And then I was only 16, 15 at that time when my mom had to go in with me. And you know how mothers are, she was like, Mijo, but she was talking to me in Creole, and the interviewer was like, what are you saying to him? Like, I want to hear it if it's that good. And I was like, no, she's just giving me advice. And he was looking through the papers. He was like, I need to see your land paper, your passport, criminal record, everything he was going through. And then he just took a long pause, and he didn't even look at me or my mom, and he was just on the computer, and then he was like, Noel, so tomorrow at 3 o'clock, put your visa up. And I think that this quote, really defines that story. That, that was a step, and I kind of thought that, I wouldn't have made it, but I was the 3 out of the 32 people that got a student visa that day.
¿Dónde estás, Patricia? Aquí estás.
Got a mic.
Okay. Uh-oh. Tranquila, tranquila.
It says you have your mother's love and you earn your father's anonymous. I guess I've always struggled with that. Always struggled with my mother's love and with my father. I did have my father's love, but he passed away when I was 16. So then where do I go from here? And so I'm here now. And so here you speak. You just remind me so much of my dad. So I'm making eye contact with you so much because of that, and it's so ironic that this comes because I always separate my father from my dad. My father from my mom, because my mom wasn't a very loving person, but I learned from Genovia that it's not that she's not loving. She was just like, she didn't know how to support. She was just in her survival mode. And so, thank you. And for my father, I felt at 16 that I had lost his love because he wasn't here. But being here, I feel him all the time. And I feel him in class, and I feel him with you guys, and I feel him with you.
Thank you, Lisa. You've got courage. You have got some courage. Ay. All right, Stephanie, ¿dónde estás? All right, Pat, hard to do something after that, pero de nuevo, Patricia. Gracias. All right, Stephanie.
Okay, mine says enjoy every sandwich.
Enjoy every sandwich. All right. Now, and you've been eating well here at the LLI, right? Related back.
sometimes it's easy to not treasure the things that you have. I mean, you take things for granted, you know, say you work a lot and, you know, I don't know, have the opportunity to have multiple jobs and let's say you waste your money and just valuing, you know, that we're given everything that we have here. Just, you know, our airplane ticket was paid, your food that we get here, everything, and you treasure that. And it's really significant because sometimes we don't remember that, let's say our families is struggling, our friends are, you see around like just outside of the block or anything and we forget that. We don't enjoy it, we just want more. And sometimes I got stuck in that. I wanted more and just wasted my money and wasted anything and we just don't look around. I always been a given person, like since I was little, I would just cross the street, say old lady and like wanted to give something like my whole life. But it got to the point and so busy and stressed out that I forgot that. And here I just remember that again.
Thank you. Laureano, ¿dónde estás? Laureano. All right.
This for life teaches who we are.
Turn it on.
Not working. It's turned up.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Our lives teach us who we are. And I associate this program because I feel like every day that we go through a different speaker, like at least in my own experience, I learned that I'm not the only one that thinks about those problems or has them in mind. Like with Juno, like all those issues like you mentioned are things that like I keep in mind a lot. And like I use Merced or with my friends back home. Like sometimes when I mention some of those things, they look at me like, "What are you talking about? Like, let's go do something else." And like, yeah, and then like that makes me want to like keep it just in me. And like my thoughts, like sometimes here they ask me like, "What's wrong with you?" Or like, "Are you okay?" I'm just thinking about like thoughts in my mind, and then just like seeing them makes me think, oh, like I'm actually like okay. Like there's nothing like wrong with my mind or anything like that. So yeah, that's yeah.
All right, Ariana. Emily, yes.
Unity and diversity should not be opposites.
Unity and diversity should not be opposites. All right. LLI, bring it together.
So when we were going back to our groups and developing our story of self, I tried to figure out like what was my main like root of motivation. And I remember like Dulce and Sylvia asking me like why, and I couldn't figure it out. And I kept digging deeper and deeper, and I realized that I had this misconception of a lack of identity, because I always thought that people judged me. I always thought they were judging me because of the way I looked, and even the way I spoke Spanish. And I had this nickname ever since I was born, and it stuck. And my grandfather called me Güero. Not Güero, but not Güera, but Güero. I don't understand to this day, but that's what they call me. and I realized that after listening to what David Carrasco said about having your Aztec moments, I realized I had so many before in my life without even knowing it. Like climbing the pyramids in Teotihuacan and like taking classes in anthropology and really learning about things that I didn't really think about, that I really identified with, and I really did have a sense of identity. So that's how it relates to this program.
Thank you. Carla, where are you, Carla?
Nothing happens until something moves. Well, I think that's perfect. It fits perfect to the program. Before coming, I had a lot of ideas of how I could change something, but you never really feel like, you always feel like, okay, after I graduate, I'll do something when I'm given the opportunity. And being here, I feel like if it's not today, it's never going to happen. You have to take action.
Wonderful. All right. Maria Hernandez. Maria. All right, the mic. There's one here. Maria, what you got?
Hope is a vital stimulant far stronger than luck. Very good.
Hope is a stimulant.
Is a vital stimulant far stronger than luck.
All right.
Well, just hearing from everyone's story, I mean, them telling us their personal stories, it's the struggles that they've gone through, but yet they still have that light in their eyes. Like they're still not dead. They're still fighting every day for it. And that's not luck. That's actually, you're fighting. Luck is just a coincidence.
Wonderful. Thank you. Pero no pena. Sorry about that.
I actually want to thank the staff from the LLI for putting the squiggly lines at the end. Even in Pena, all my professors call me Miss Peña, and it's like, no, it's Peña, so thank you.
I am so sorry.
No, it's okay, it's okay. No, it's my Aztec moment. I'm very passionate.
All right.
If you don't design your own plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. By Jim Rohn.
Wow.
Okay, I think, Kat, my mentor, and I yesterday were talking about, I don't know if you remember yesterday's panel, how one of the presenters said that every girl wants to be J-Lo, and she used to, every girl wants to be J-Lo, and how she thinks that's not, like, acceptable. And that brought me thinking, like, well, what's wrong with being J-Lo? I mean, I have to say that I disagree with that comment, because maybe we're not into that kind of music or whatever, but we have to recognize that she's an entrepreneur. She has clothes, she has perfumes. We listen to her music, and maybe we don't like it, but she's an entrepreneur. She's in movies. She's successful. So that got me thinking, why do I have to fit in everybody else's plan? Like I was thinking, yeah, like all my friends are pursuing careers and I don't know, serious careers that we call, and well, I told everybody like 1,000 times, but I'm a theater and dance major, so what you said right now kind of like brought me in the table. And like, I don't know, I feel like dancing is not my only talent. Like, I'm also very good like with people, like talking to people. I feel like people feel comfortable with me, so I don't know, like I don't have to fall in the dancer's path, just to, so to speak, and I also don't have to fall in what all my friends are doing. So I don't know, I feel, what I was talking to Kat yesterday is that I'll design my own plan. Like, I can do something different. Like, I just have to keep working.
Robert Danzo. Robert.
It says, if you find a path with no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere.
If you find a path with no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere. All right, LLI, bring it back.
Okay, throughout this program, I have found out that I have the chance to grow as a young child, like I told my group, I didn't take so much opportunities, and I didn't feel like I was good enough for the things that were given to me. So those are like kind of obstacles in my life. And right now, I've seen those obstacles, I've become aware from the things that I've seen in my life, and I'm trying to overcome those by building myself, building my community, knowing more people who share that passion, and who want to move forward. So I think that relates to me and the program. Thank you.
Where are you?
She'll be coming in about 20 minutes or so, so she'll be
Okay. Erica Gaiton. Erica.
It is the mark of educated men to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Aristotle.
Entertain a thought without accepting it. All right. Erica, bring it back to the LLI.
I go. I think that brings to having the initiative and the courage to do something new. Like, as a daughter of an undocumented mother working in construction, like being my mother and my father. When I heard about the peace program in Harvard, I didn't know if I was the right person to come, but after being here and learning about myself, I educated myself, and I think I can go back and educate my two brothers.
Wonderful. Thank you. Laura Méndez. All right. Here we are, Laura.
It says, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. My dad always tells me that I have to be at home, that there's no place in a woman outside the home. And I hear that, and I forget it. And I saw how he pushed my brother into leaving his career, his future. And that hurts him and it hurts me. But I'm doing this, and yesterday when I heard Juno Diaz explain how his family didn't support him either, and then after talking to Dr. Ramirez, I think I forgave my fault.
Thank you, Laura. All right. Miriam Abrego, Southwest Wind.
Okay, I got a pretty easy one. I continue to learn. I found...
I'm sorry, Miriam. This was the artist, Goya, at age 85, and he was asked, Goya, usted, a su edad, you at your age, what is the key what is the sort of reason? How do you keep alive? Aún aprendo. I continue to learn. At age 85, he was continuing to learn. So that's a reason. Period.
Okay, I'm probably completely destroying yesterday's talk, but the physician that we saw, he said the obstacle or the biggest obstacle to new discovery is the illusion of knowledge, which pretty much says that we may think we know everything about something, but there's always something more to learn. And realizing that even though it says it in the textbook, or it says it in, an official says it, you can always question it. And I think that provides us a lot of...
Yes. And that's what critical thinking is. Do not assume, do not accept the beliefs, do not accept it, always push further. Great, thank you so much. What? Go. Yep.
Okay, it says, I have 6 other servicemen. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what, and why, and when, and how, when, and who. But Woodward Kirk. Before coming here, I was always striving to success, looking to ace my tests, but I forgot something in the way. I didn't know who I was when I came to the United States. All my papers say Joel, and they keep telling me, oh, hi Joel, hi Joel. I was like, I'm not Joel, I'm Alexis. Alexis was the name I was born with. They call me everywhere. But I didn't appreciate that, and I just let it happen. When I was at NAU, I was studying, but I still was trying to solve my Discord result. And just when I arrived here, and I went through the classes, and I looked deep in my history, I was like, I have value. I know who I am. I don't have to compare to anyone else.
Bravo.
I don't succeed in what everyone is succeeding. I can look at my mirror and see myself, and I can draw my own history with my own hand.
Marcos Dimas. Nope. There we are. All right, Marcos, what you got?
A mediocre idea that generates enthusiasm will go further than a great idea that inspires no one.
Read it back again, Marcos, por favor.
A mediocre idea that generates enthusiasm will go further than a great idea that inspires no one.
All right. LLI.
When I came here, when we were actually going through our story of self, us and now, and kind of coming up with an idea to help the community, I heard everyone's ideas in my group. They wanted to make a great change. They want to affect hundreds of people, middle school, high school, and college. But I had a smaller idea. I believed in the leadership MU group that we had, which only helped about, 30 students. I don't know who those students helped. But it was a mediocre idea compared to what everyone else wanted to do. But I felt that, oh wow, I'm shaking. Alright, but I felt that if I can talk about it and discuss it and generate the enthusiasm that I believe it has, that I can give to people, it can not only inspire myself, but everyone else in my group and in Laredo. So that's
all right.
Okay, so I got success is getting dropped on your behind, getting up and doing it again without losing your enthusiasm. Wow, and it's anonymous. Okay, let's see. Okay, getting dropped on my behind, I've sure done that a lot of times. I am very outspoken here, but before I came here, I was actually kind of scared of talking in front of a bunch of people. But then I kept on practicing and practicing and practicing. And then I started doing it back there. So but I did it with quite enthusiasm. Since I am in a small group, I'm very enthusiastic. And I was like, you know what, I can try this with more people. But not only here, I think I've done it before at my school by not getting good grades or what have you on tests. And I always not devalued myself, but felt a little less. But sure enough, I'm good enough to be here.
There you go.
Un hombre no envejece cuando se le arruga la piel, sino cuando se le arrugan los sueños y las esperanzas.
All right. A man does not age when the skin is wrinkled, but ages when hope and
Pero los sueños y las esperanzas.
when his dreams and hopes are wrinkled. LLI.
What comes to mind is that we all have that inner kid. I know for a fact I do. And let's see. It's not sure if I exactly.
Get that creative piece on there.
No envejece cuando se le arruga la piel, sino cuando se le arrugan los sueños y las esperanzas. Well, something the way I can relate in a personal life is like I think about like my father. Based in the situation that he's at, the economic disadvantage is that even though as the years go by, and there's still a struggle, he still has the hope, he still has the dreams, and it doesn't die. Even though when society or certain factors are oppressing or telling him that it may not get better, the dreams, the hopes are never gonna die. He's always gonna have that strength, that youthful strength that shall never die. And I see that and I can relate, and that gives me even more motivation. And I'm assuming that each and one of you does have those dreams, they have that, those hopes.
Kevin?
I take a simple view of living. It is to keep your eyes open and to get on with it. I mean, I guess that relates to what we're doing here is just kind of like for our group, for LME, like we're trying to create this like initiative. It's more like a vision that we have. And we're not, like, it seems like a really daunting task. And I just think that because of like our passion and because of like what we see, it started with like a simple idea, and in order for it to actually work, it has to become something, and we just have to start. So it's gonna build on each other and like just like pushing through like all the things that seem to be like working against us, or like like the overwhelming like aspect of starting to do it is what this is talking about.
All right. Wonderful. Good. Thank you. Londra Vega.
Any activity becomes creative when the doer cares about doing it right or doing it better, which is exactly like building up with what Gabby said, where it's an idea that grew in an hour to something big, like something that can become a legacy for us at Alamillo and the kids that we want to help. So everybody's input and everybody's creativity is being taken into account on how to proceed the project, or that's what we're working on at least. But I think that what drives us is that we want to do it right, and we have so much passion to help the community that it's getting better and better, and more ideas are coming to light.
We are reading books and then relating them back to the LLI.
All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Walt Disney. Do I bring in an example of my life, or just here at the
How does it
LLI?
relate back to the LLI? That book, from your experience here, how does it relate back?
Okay, well, I think we're all here because we have a dream of making a difference, like changing people's lives. And sometimes we feel like, oh, that's not possible. Only the people who have maybe a lot of money or political power can do things like that. But I've started to realize that it's not so much your financial status or social status that influences your ability to make a difference. It's just doing it. It's just finding the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to do it. If it's not this huge, world-changing outcome, I'm still making a difference, and I'm still, pursuing my dream.
Daisy Bernice.
There is no more expensive thing than a free gift.
There's no more
Expensive thing than a free gift.
than a free gift.
I guess I can take it from the advice that I've gotten here from the different presenters and everybody that the classes that we've taken. I mean, this is basically literally been free, but they've chosen to give us their advice. And for me personally, I needed to know how to do things, and I think I'm relating it more to like Marshall's class. I mean, he didn't have to teach us his entire class in 2.5 days, and I guess I needed those techniques, and for me, it's one of the best things that he could give me. And I mean, it didn't cost anything, not just monetarily, but time-wise and everything else.
Vasquez.
Do one thing and do it so well that people will return and bring their friends with them. This is LLI right here. Everything that we've been learning is how to lead and help others achieve their own goals. And I think that, and it's said by Walt Disney, which is perfect because you aim the little people for the kids. You aim to help them so that as they grow, they aim to help the ones smaller than them. So that's how it applies. But the fact that we're here at LLI trying to learn from other people who are older, more experienced, and wiser than us. And they're teaching us how to become them, or even better, for us to teach others how to become better too.
Wonderful. Thank you. parent.
A long one. Being in politics is like being a football coach. You have to be smart enough to understand the game and dumb enough to think it's important.
One more time, Karen, please.
Being in politics is like being a football coach. You have to be smart enough to understand the game and dumb enough to think it's important.
All right, LLI.
I think it relates to LLI and what we learned. You know, we understand, we're smart enough to understand the game of education and what it could, where it could take us and lead us. But we have to be dumb enough to think it's important when we go back home and they might not understand. And so not that they won't understand, but to understand, to be humble and that to know it's important.
Wonderful. Thank you, Karen. Get the mic for you. All right, Robert.
A trial is when a jury decides which side has the best set of lawyers. What do you think about that?
A trial is?
When a jury decides which side has the best set of lawyers.
All right.
By Mark Twain.
Mark Twain.
I guess I would relate that to just walking down the side of a street and you see someone with a Harvard degree and someone with a degree from, say, LMU. And you make assumptions. And like this, which side has the best set of lawyers? It's not necessarily who's right and who's wrong, but a title or some accreditation behind that that's going to decide the outcome. So for those of us who don't go to Harvard, all of us students here, it's, at least I can feel somewhat inferior before because if I was in a court, I wouldn't have the best lawyers. I don't have the Harvard as my undergraduate degree. But what I've learned from LLI is that doesn't matter at all. Just everything that's been unlocked through this. I've got great lawyers with LMU and the LLI.
Power concedes nothing without a demand, Frederick Douglass.
Power concedes nothing.
Without a demand.
And that was?
Frederick Douglass. And what I think this means is that if we don't demand anything, if we don't stand up like this program has taught us to, then we won't have any power to change anything. And I think throughout this whole week, we've been learning how to become leaders and how to demand and how to, become powerful.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Carl Sagan. Just like anything, we've all come here with a mission. We've all come here with our goals. And we've made them for a reason, because we've experienced how difficult things can be. Our experience is our evidence. If we have felt hardships, then we want to correct them. We are the evidence, and our goals are the claims. And the LLI has shown us how to put forward this evidence so that we may make claims and so that we can make things happen. All right.
why this is in Spanish, and my Spanish is not that great. So bear with me. La esperanza es un estimulante vital muy superior a la suerte. Federico Nietzsche.
All right.
Thank you.
Hope?
Hope is a stimulant more vital than luck, which we heard earlier. Without hope, I mean, luck is luck of the draw. Not everybody has luck. Hope is a blessing that we all have. We've all been through a lot of stuff in here at the LLI. We all shared our stories, if not up front, but with each other. We've been through a lot, and we have that hope, which is a blessing from God. And with that hope, we'll be able to go forward. Not everyone has luck, but everyone has the blessing of hope.
All right.
Says you cannot get ahead while you are getting even, by Dick Army. I'm not sure if I'm saying that. It's a really
We
good.
cannot get ahead while we are
Getting even.
getting even.
That's a really good one. Basically, it relates to me, like as an individual, but also to this LLI program, because I feel, and I think a lot of my colleagues here feel like we've been on this struggle of getting even with everybody that's keeping us down, or we felt through our lives that we've been getting, people have been getting in our way, so to speak. And through this program, not only have Latinos like yourself been in front of us, but Caucasians, people of different heritages been here in front of us. And they've shown us that they're on our side too, and that we as Latinos can combine all of our gifts that the LLI is giving us to bring more equality to other Latinos, but also to underprivileged youth. And
wonderful. You let it go and you move on. Ángel Corte.
If we cannot now end our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. So I just think of the LLI as a people from diverse Latino backgrounds. I still got to bring it back to that quote that I'm going to paraphrase it, that no matter how we may see ourselves, and we oftentimes, I'm Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm, from Panama, whatever, we're all human beings, and we're trying to better this world, better our immediate world, and we have the skills through the LLI to at least make changes on a small level, but if we all do it, it can spread and create massive changes. So diversity is key, and it's well shown here and represented.
Wait back. Here in front. You pass the mic down, please.
Memory is more indelible than ink. I need those.
I'm sorry, a little bit louder.
Memory is more indelible than ink.
Memory is more indelible than ink. All right. Relate it back.
I'm related to LLI. Everyone here is going to remember memory. Yes. Even if I don't know you, if I talk to you, you're going to be there for me, like, present and my future.
Jessica Giraldo.
Hello. The real death of America will come when everyone is alike. James T. Ellison. I can relate to this personally and to the LLI for sure. Growing up, I've always wanted to fit in, always wanted to be like American, more, and this LLI has taught me that I can embrace that diversity and not try to fit in as much and find my own way.
All right. Thank you.
It says, "No man is above the law, and no man is below it," by Theodore Roosevelt. So, how this relates, I think, to the LLI, it makes me, the first thing I think about is Marshall Gans, and you know, his work with the farm worker movement and that sort of thing. And you know, sometimes immigrants come here and they think that you know, the people that are already from here, that they are above the law. And they feel that they don't have any power, they don't have any say in anything, but in truth, we all have a power. That's like what Marshall Gans said, the beauty of America, that we do have the opportunities and we do have the option of really taking advantage of our democracy and giving a voice to everybody. So it's something that was reinforced here in the other life.
Luis Sanchez.
People ask you for criticism, but they only want praise. By William Nathan. I think that for relating to my personal experience, like we all know we want to do something with our life. You know, we have something great to do. That's why we always try to fit within the criticism, see the best ways. You know, look for the normal pathways to get into what we want to do. I personally, I want to help people. I want to become a lawyer. I want to go to the foreign service field. And I always look criticism to try to look like what a person like that should look like. You know? And you always want to get, in my case, I've gotten praises for behaving like that, behaving that way. You know, like I was talking with Andy, which I guess has something to do with it. I've been praised, like I've had people in my life telling me, "You're good, you're gonna make it, you are gonna be someone. I've seen you, congratulations." But sometimes it's not the praise that I want, you know, because I've behaved a certain way, and you know, getting to the other life and to the story. Sometimes you see yourself through the mirror, and the reflection, it's real good, but it's not you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Vanessa?
I gave my life to become the person I am right now. Was it worth it?
All right.
what I learned about LLI is that I was always a hero to my sisters, and I felt like I didn't have anyone to save me. And by coming here, I realized that everyone is much more alike, and I can count on other people. It's not, you don't have to be reserved and try to be a hero for just one person. You can be a hero for everyone, and you can also ask for a hero. So I learned that.
Okay, never trust the advice of a man in difficulties. This makes me think of us in the LLI program because so many of us have faced these challenges and we've struggled a lot to establish relationships and open up because it requires us to be vulnerable. And so in a sense, we've overcome our difficulties. And so now we can trust each other to support each other starting from now in all of our future endeavors. And that's how this relates to the LLI.
Here we go. Healthy families are our greatest resource. Current dollars. I grew up in Cuba. I came 2 years ago, and I was born in 1989 in the greatest crisis that Cuba has ever had, despite the fact that we've been in crisis for 50 years. And I grew up when my parents were studying at the university. We were very poor. We almost ate rice and beans because we had no money to eat. Just how hard it was in terms of financial and finance, but we were always healthy. We always had support. They always made me go to school. My father's a medical doctor, so they always taught me how to be healthy, not only in my body but in my mind. They always taught me that no matter what you go through, you can always be a good person. You can always give support to others, and you can always inspire others. And that's something that I consider to be very healthy. Your mind is what contributes the most to your health, including when you're sick. If your brain, if you are able to program your brain in a positive way to think, I'm not sick, I'm gonna get cured, you can even cure your cancer. And that's more powerful than anything.
Wonderful. Thank you, Betsy.
You are the only person on earth who can use your ability. I think that means that right here in LLI, we're discovering what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are, and we're all very unique in that way. We may be similar, but we're all very unique. We all have our own passions. We all have our own skill sets, and you're unique in the sense that this person sitting next to you is going to want to make change in one way, and you're going to want to make change in another. And it's important to have all types of change.
There are two good things in life, freedom of thought and freedom of action.
Freedom of thought, freedom of action.
By William Morgan. Well, in a sense, I think it really relates to LLI because I guess it's shown us how the courage for you to take action in doing something that you've wanted to do and never been able to do because of whatever reasons or obstacles that you've overcome in your life. But to set yourself free, like with, for example, with Marshall Gans, I think the story itself really helps you dig deep inside you, inside your soul, and just, gather yourself together in order to lead other people. I mean, I just think that's so important. You cannot be a leader unless you find yourself. If you don't find yourself, you cannot be an effective leader.
Sooner or later, those who win are those who think they can. I think all of us here have a purpose, have a destiny, have an answer, a problem that we're trying to answer, that we have the answer for. And I think what this program has ultimately been about is changing our mindsets. People in our lives who haven't encouraged us, who have told us no, and that's changing that mindset to believe that we can win and we can answer the question that's deep down on the inside of us.
Christopher, you're going to clean up. Thank you.
The greatest pleasure in life is to do good by stealth and be found out by accident. The way that I relate this to the LLI is all of us come here extremely accomplished. And I've heard various and sundry people in this entire group say that when they read the roster, they were scared to come because they felt like everyone else was better than them, or more accomplished than them, or smarter than them. And it's funny because we've all been doing good in our communities, but flying under the radar. And it's kind of like Dario said on the first day, that we were here for a reason, we had been chosen for a reason, and this was our chance to shine. He said, welcome to the major leagues. And you guys, I hate to say it, but we've all been found out. So.
In the arena of human life, the honors and rewards fall to those who show their good qualities in action. I think that just being here is the greatest reward I ever had. I worked so hard. I have 2 degrees and they're worthless. The opportunity that I was given to be here and have the tools to make a difference, I feel it's my greatest reward I've had so far. I've always dreamed with going to Harvard. And I didn't go to UT like I wanted to get my master's from. But I now think that one day I will get my PhD from here. And this opportunity has just made me believe that I will accomplish everything I want because I deserve to.